right?
Right on.
Fine. Cool. We're gonna see that I'm gonna play one of the tracks, which I love.
Anytime I'm blue, all I have to do is take a look at you. Then I'm not so blue. When you're by my side, nothing seems to matter. If the world should share, I don't care. Wouldn't you agree that baby, you and me are really kind of love?
See, they call it in the room. You can chat. You can chat if you want. You can chat with them.
Okay. Okay.
When you're in my arms, you must start to shiver. So the fever inside. Wouldn't you agree that baby, you and me are really kind of love?
No, Mr. Francis, I'm the one that's supposed to be grooving, not you.
Yeah.
Mr. Francis, welcome.
Thank you so much.
You know, the funny thing is, you are a homework for me. And when I say a homework, I probably went over so much of your video from Amsterdam.
Wow.
And that band that you work with.
Yeah, Root Rich and High Notes.
Oh my God, they're all good.
Yeah, they are hot. Very, very hot.
The
Very
time
hot.
when, one session they were just doing like rock, the real rock. They go to the
real rock. Yeah.
The whole different instrumental and stuff like that. And I'm like,
they don't sound like they don't sound like a Dutch band, do they?
No,
they sound more like a Jamaican band.
Yeah, they sound like a full Jamaican band.
Well, I'll tell you something about this band.
Mm-hmm.
whenever the first time I played with them was about 15 years ago,
Okay.
and ever since then, every time I speak to one of the artists from Jamaica, like the Heptones,
Mm-hmm.
and they hear something from my band, they say, I got to work with your band. We can't work with no other band. Alton Ellis, when Alton was alive, all he wanted to do was work with my band. Everybody comes to Europe, they got to work with my band.
So that band is basically your band. Anytime you're doing any shows or stuff like that, that's the band.
Any shows, yeah, that's the guys I use.
Oh, very good. Now your collection of music, I should say, your archive is extraordinary.
Thank you much.
And when I went through your bio, one thing that drew my attention, something happened within 1970. I'm not going to touch it as yet because I want my audience. I know you're here, and if you want to ask a question, please, I may miss the question one or two times, but please drop it back into the room until I see the question. Okay, please work with me, guys, because I know you guys are very impatient some of the time. All right, I love you guys. Now, I have no other than Mr. Winston Francis, and we were running joke earlier on that it should be Sir Winston Francis, you know, because he has so much behind him, and very proud to be in the presence right now with you. Now, to start off, I want to go back to your early years.
Okay.
You know, your early years when you basically you started out. You're born in Kingston.
Yeah.
Born in Kingston.
A lot of people say that. A lot of people say they were born.
Yeah, a lot of people say they're from. Yeah, and they're not. You know. And
I was born in Kingston. I can certainly tell you that.
And you're what I should say. You went to the line of not music, but you were a printer.
Yeah.
Right?
I was a printer.
So you were a printer. Yeah, continue.
I was a linotype operator. My dad was a linotype operator teacher. So instead of me going to university, he said you got to be you take an apprenticeship. So I became a line operator, but I wasn't really happy
because the music was in your blood.
The cancer. It is a cancer.
And that's what you wanted to do.
That's
and
right.
The other part that really drew my attention, you went to after that you migrated to the States.
Yeah, I went to Miami.
Yeah, you went to Miami, and after you went to Miami, you decide that you wanna attend music school.
Well, it was a voice training school.
Okay, voice training.
Yeah, but the teacher I was with, he was well known on the jazz scene in Miami, and he worked with the best. He worked with all the big bands. So most of the tuition that he was giving me was like live, and direct. And
that was even good.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That was fantastic because he then introduced me to a lot of people. Who were really great jazz musicians,
right?
And that journey, was great, and his name was Chuck Bird, and he was well known, in the jazz scene as one of the great, jazz players.
And then you hooked up with Gleason, Jackie Gleason Orchestra.
Well, that was like a special offer. Because Buddy Greco, the jazz singer, was appearing, at the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami, and he had he contracted laryngitis, and it was a big show to be the biggest room in the Fontainebleau Hotel was the Laron room, and this was where the show was booked, and because he had laryngitis, they were looking for a replacement.
Wow.
But everybody else was either out of town or doing other big gigs.
And you were lucky right there.
Yeah, that was just my quick step.
You're brave.
So when my teacher said to me, "I've got a really really great job for you, but you got to shine." you know. So I said, yeah. He said, let me take you to the barber's. Got me a brand new suit, you know,
Yes.
a white suit, you know, white shoes, you know.
Stand out.
Yeah, I'm looking good. I'm looking so pretty. So, you know, I didn't even know what I was doing. So he took me to the hotel, right? And when he took me, I saw on the billboard, you know, it was the Jacket Leeson's Orchestra, you know, working that night. And I thought, whoa, I'd love to see that. Not even thinking you're going to be part of that.
Yeah, you're part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they took me in, and everything was smooth. You know, they said, you start rehearsing in 5 minutes, get yourself relaxed. And when I saw this big thing sitting out on stage, all spread out, I thought, this can't be me. And he said, his wife said to me, this is your night for shining, Winston. All you ever dreamed of is going to happen tonight. And I said, is that the band I'm going to work with? She said, yeah. So I just strut out on stage, you know.
Yes.
Did my thing, and that was it. You know, the rest was history.
Mr. Winston, Tracy Ward already calling you Mr. Fix-It. You know, that's one of your name that you've been called, and most people know you as Winston.
That's right.
Fix-It.
That's right. That's right.
That name was given to you like what, in the early 70s or no, late 60s? Late 60s.
Late 60s, yeah. But that was all down to my brother. Because he was a lover man. And every minute he would be going in and out of his relationships with his girlfriends. He was breaking up, you know, more than he was falling in love. And every time he had a problem, you know, he would call me and ask me to fix it. You know, so he called once. I came from Miami, went down to Jamaica, and it was a regular thing. Every month or so I'd be down. So I just got in, and as soon as he got in, he ran in and he says, put your suitcase down, come with me. I needed to do a job. And I said, hang on a minute, man. He says, I needed to talk to Cutie. Her name was Cutie, and she was cute. And he said, come on, let's go. And I said, hey, man, I said, take it easy. I said, you haven't even asked me how I am. Or, he says, that's not important.
That you need to fix something for him.
Yeah, he says, come on, man, let me take you to Cutie because she don't want me to see her no more. And, you know, I love this girl, man. So he took me around to Cutie's, and I had to do my bit, you know, begging her to take him back. And when it was all over, I said to him, tell me something. Who do you think I am? You think I'm some kind of fix-it? Mr. Fix-It? And he said, yeah. You're my Mr. Fix-It. You know.
And right then and there, you got something. There was a big buzz right there for you.
Well, I got an inspiration, so I wrote the song. You know, if you're feeling lonely because you're one and only, boy has found a girl and ran away. Just reach for the phone. I'll be at home. My name is Fix-It. I'll be there.
Beautiful. Guys,
you know, the night when I recorded that song at Studio One, usually when Mr. Dodd records songs, you would record during the day, and he would listen at night. And that evening when he came in, and he started going through the tracks, and a very strange thing with Mr. Dodd, he would never play the music loud. You could hardly hear it. But he just barely turned the monitor up.
He has the ear for that.
Very sensitive ears.
Yes.
And I said to him, Mr. Dodd, I can't hear it. He said, Winston, don't listen with your ears, listen with your heart.
No.
And I learned something from that. But that night, when he listened to Mr. Fix-It, he said, you know something? This song is going to live with you for the rest of your life. And he was absolutely right. He was absolutely right. I did a concert at the Royal Festival Hall in London last Friday with David Rodigan. It was David Rodigan's 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
And the first song I did was Mr. Fix-It. And that's what the audience wanted to hear. And it was packed to its rafters. The place was completely packed. And they wanted to hear Mr. Fix-It. So that was the first thing I had to do.
That's good. there was something that I said that drew my attention, and I'm going to ask you about this song. Um, to experience.
To experience. Well,
Experience.
that's another what would I call it? A mere accident waiting to happen.
Are
Because
you serious?
well, the fact is that when it was written by Bob Andy,
Hmm.
and Mr. Dodd called me in, and he said to me, I've got a song for you. I want you to record this. And I said,
Oh, so it was written by Bob and he handed to you.
right,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So he said, I want you to record the song. So he said, I'm going to get the rhythm built, right? And then I want you to sing it. So we went into the studio. The guys built the rhythm, and I sang.
Did they build it around the song, or they just built the rhythm by itself?
They built the rhythm, and then I sang the song.
Okay. Okay.
But it needed backing vocals.
Hmm. That's the
And-
part that got me.
Well, the backing vocals, Mr. Dodd usually used 3 girls, and the 3 girls that he usually used was 3 Asian-looking girls, pretty girls. So that evening, when we were going to voice the track, I actually did my voice, waiting on the girls to come in and do their part. But they were supposed to come in at 4 o'clock that afternoon, and they didn't. So I waited and I waited and I waited. In the meantime, Bob Marley,
Peter Tosh.
no, Peter Tosh wasn't there, but just Bob and Bunny.
Mhm.
They were actually at the studios waiting to do their voicing. And we all were sitting down talking by this big water cooler to cool the press,
Right.
a big wooden cooler. And Bob was playing his guitar, and he turned to me and he said, he didn't call me Winston or Mr. Fix-It, he called me Cobra. And he said, Cobra, when you going to do your thing, man? Because I want to go in. And I said, well, we got to wait on the girls. I have to wait on the girls. As soon as the girls come, I'll go in and finish it. And 2 hours later, he said to me, when are we going to do this, Cobra? And I said, as soon as the girls come. He said, they ain't coming. He said, why can't we just go in and do it?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, if you want to go in and do it, yeah, sure. So we went in, we did the backing vocals, and as soon as we did the backing vocals, Mr. Dodd came in, and he said, what's happening? And we said, well, we just finished recording To Experience, and he said, oh, that sounds good. So let me have a listen. And when he heard the backing vocal, he says, wow, my girls sound good. And Bob said, me, you calling a girl, Sir D? No, he said, but the girls. He says, they ain't no girls, that's us.
Yeah. Bob Marley did the
Mr. Dodd
backing
said,
vocals
what?
for you.
He said, what? He said, well, I'll tell you what. Because you sound so good, I've got another track. I want you to put the backing vocals on. I got California Dreaming.
California Dream.
So we
Yes.
went in and we did also the backing vocals for California Dreaming. But I think everybody got an extra, few pounds that evening because Mr. Dodd was really, really happy with the backing vocals
And that was-
and the tracks.
And that was like 1970.
No, this was
or
68.
71. It was
No,
68.
this was 1968, I think it was. 1968.
How do you feel to know that you have a track and you have Bob Marley with the backing vocals and these icons that people
Yeah,
would be
but
like,
you have to look back at who Bob was. Bob was just one of us. He was just an ordinary guy, an ordinary nice guy, a very talented young man who was sitting along with us. He sat on the sidewalk with us.
yes,
We ate out of the same bag. We smoked the same joint. If Bob didn't have a cigarette and I had one, I would share it with him. And he would do the same with me. He was just one of the guys, and then, he became, and he deserved every adulation he gets.
Yes.
He deserves it. But, you know, he broke out and he went to higher heights. And I'm just proud to have known that we breathe the same air in the same room at one time. You know,
that time sharing that moment, you know, things like that. No, when you do that track, knowing the experience and you know how it all involved, how do you feel? Do you, you know, when you perform that track?
Well, that is one of the reasons why whenever I do a show, I always pay tribute to my peers, and Bob is one of the first persons I pay, you know, respects to in singing one of his songs, in appreciation, you know, of the fact, you know, that he actually sang with me on one of my records. Because to me, that is a great tribute.
It is. To me, it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a peek of that song. Beautiful. Listen.
She hears the side of me because I turned her off when she's always saying we were meant to be. Somehow she thought I could have.
I share the room. To experience this pain for a stroke.
To experience the sound of my soul. To experience take me for a ride. I know it's not wrong to try. She doesn't want me to ride. She has something she wants to hide. I think she wanted I cry. Someone to take me for a ride. Telling her that I experience to be taken for a to experience to my soul. Experience to be taken for a ride. I know it's not my
Listen to the vocals in the back. Taking for a ride. I'm loving it. Loving it. Now, Barrington Levy came.
Yep.
And there's so much, like, I was going through a lot of songs. UB40 did a couple of your songs as cover version. No,
right.
Do you get credit for all these cover versions?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do.
They approach you and stuff like that, right?
Well, I have to give thanks to UB40 because of UB40, I bought my first home.
Wow.
From the royalties. So.
From the royalty.
Yep, I have
to appreciate it. Because I could say a lot of your songs they did.
Yeah.
Songs. And for UB40, you know, to do your cover version, wow, that's good because that's stretching me out there even more. You know,
it did because you know there was such a nice bunch of guys, you know, and when they approached me to do the track, I was actually in New York, and I got a note, that they wanted to record the track, and they were asking, from the phone call that they made, they were asking if they could record a track. And I got so excited, I said, yeah. But they had actually recorded the track already.
Or did they? Okay.
So by the time I got back to London, the track was being played, and their secretary, then a girl from an Irish girl called Bryony was her name. Her surname was Bryony, and she said, "I've got a very nice check for you for your first set of royalties." I said, "Thank you very much." And when they sent the check, I opened the envelope and I looked at it, and I thought, "Oh, 27 pounds." And then I looked again and I thought, "Oh,
you see number, you see zeros added."
Yeah. I thought, woo-hoo!
Now, this is the thing I wanted to ask you also. Now, have you ever done, because especially back into I want to step back a little bit, back into the 60s.
Right.
Late 60s, early 60s. This happened to a lot of reggae icons back in the days, because they never registered their songs back then. They just get up into the studio and they just voice. Do you have songs? Go ahead.
Nobody knew the politics of the game, and it's a big game. It's a very, very big game, and if you don't understand it, you'll get burnt, because the greatest thing about writing a song is having it registered right away. Because if you wrote a song and you told me about it and I went and I registered it,
you're out. You're out.
Definitely out. Because all they are looking at is the first person to come through that door.
First come, first served. Yeah.
That's right. So a lot of guys got burnt that way.
What about you? Have you been there?
No, I've not been burnt.
Okay.
I've been burnt with one song. And the reason why this happened is that I didn't really understand the game to the full extent. I thought when you published a song, I thought that if you got to a publisher and they took a song from you and they published it, it would last for a period of time. I didn't realize, it was
every year.
No, it was forever. So no, I'm sorry. If you write a song and you register it, that registration stays forever. You can't change it. And I used to be friendly with a guy, and we used to go to the studios together. So when I got a deal, right, I realized that he wasn't going to get any money. I was the one who's going to get the money. So I put him down as my co-writer. Because I thought, if he's my co-writer, I put it down now. After a couple of years, it will be divert back to me, and I'll be okay. And after, about 15 years, I said to him, "Are you, And he said, "No, I wrote it. I wrote the song.
Wow.
I helped you to write it.
Wow.
And what can you do about it?"
So,
nothing at all.
Because you wrote it. You wrote him in. So
and it was my fault, my mistake. Yeah. So I just have to live with that.
Now, looking in your life, music, how would you define the word to you? How would you define success?
I would say I'm successful. And the reason why I say I'm successful is that right now I'm still working. And but comes the end of the month, I'll be doing a show in Switzerland.
Okay.
And right through the year I'll be working. So to me that is success. If I was not working, that means that my working life would have come to an end. And a lot of my peers, a lot of my friends, their working life has come to an end.
Yes.
A lot of them, it's their own doing, because they've been smoking and drinking, from the inception, from they started, and they continued, and they ruined their voices.
There you go.
By smoking and by drinking. I stopped smoking and drinking a very, very long time ago, and the reason why I did it, I wanted a future in entertainment. So that was a sacrifice that you have to make.
Wow.
So I quit smoking, I quit drinking, and even today I'm still teetotal.
Was this taught to you by a doctor, or you just say?
Well, no, it was like my teacher, from the start, encouraged me
the music teacher,
to cut down on my cigarettes. He said, but you got to take it easy with cigarettes, because the nicotine ruins your lungs. So but I was still smoking, but not as much. But after I realized that this was the ruin of many artists. I thought to myself, well, if you want to continue, you got to quit. Yeah. So I did, and I feel stronger. I feel better for it.
More healthy.
Because, of course, and nicotine really ruins your voice.
Yes.
So I quit, and I'm a true testament of that.
Yeah, one thing I was looking back, you were doing marvelous coming up. You were at the right place, the right time, coming up,
Right.
up, 70s, coming straight up, and then all of a sudden, you took a pause in music.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? At that time, when you're there, you've been lucky.
But you have to remember also that I came to a strange country. Even though I spoke the language, a lot of things that I could have done, I didn't know the right people, and you had to be like you said, in the right place at the right time. And then our music, started taking, another turn, wherein it was going into a different type of music, with a different type of culture that was coming through. And I couldn't, find myself in that thing. So I decided I had to do something else. And I loved teaching. And I ended up being a youth worker, working with
social
young
worker.
people.
Social worker.
Working with young people. And the strange thing is, I attended a concert about 5 weeks ago. And when I was in the queue to go into the club, one of the security guys came and he tapped me on the shoulder and he says, "Come with me, Mr. Francis." And I said, I said, "Where are we going?" He says, "I'm taking you in." And there was another security guy, and he said to him, "You know him?" And he said, "If it wasn't for this man, I would not be standing here tonight."
Wow.
He said, "I was a thug. I was a tearaway." And it was Mr. Francis when he was working at the Abeng Youth Center as a youth worker. He changed my life.
You brought him where he's supposed to be at, right?
So he just took me out of the queue and took me in. And when I went in, he said, "You remember me, Mr. Francis?" And I said, "Not really." And he says, "You don't have to. I remember you."
Wow, you see?
He took me in. So, and this wasn't the first time that this has happened. I've met quite a few guys in Brixton. I remember I met a young kid one day, and I said to him, "Why are you trying to, make trouble with this other kid?" And he said, because he was bothering me. But he said, "It's okay, Mr. Francis." And I said, "How you know my name?" He says, "My daddy used to come to the youth club that you used to teach at. And he told me what a good guy you were." And, and this was like a 16, 17-year-old guy,
wow.
And he just shook my head.
Respect.
And he was on his way. So I'm glad that I got into youth work, because I changed a lot of lives
Yes.
then, and I'm really
Ladies,
proud of that.
ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Winston Francis is in the building, and I'm so proud to be in his presence.
Love and hate can never be friends. Oh no, no, no. Oh no. Here I come with love and not hate, friends. Surely.
Before I even start playing it, and it's so amazing. You wrote this song.
This was written by Winston Holiness,
Okay.
and his nickname is 90 the Observer. And he wrote the song, and he was going to sing it, but somebody said to him, "Why don't you give this?" Because Dennis Brown was working with him, and he said, "Why don't you let Dennis sing this one?" And he gave it to Dennis to record, and Dennis sang it. And about 4 years ago, a young lady from New York was on the phone to me, and she said to me, "I love your version of Mr. Fix-It, but but I do like Dennis Brown also." And she said, "Do you know that Beres Hammond recorded Mr. Fix-It?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "But did you know Dennis Brown recorded?" I says, "I've never heard Dennis's version." And she sent it to me. And when she sent it to me, I was so proud and glad to know that Dennis, recorded Mr. Fix-It. I decided to reciprocate, and I recorded, Here I Come.
Here I Come.
Right.
Love and hate can never be friends. Oh no, 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 no. Oh no. Here I come with love and not hate, friends. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow I all the days of my life. And there be no one, no wish to be with no evil man. From there come the day when you'll be with by the Father's hand. My head is anointed, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow I all the days of my life. Oh, 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 oh. Live up as the children. Love and hate can never be friends. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no.
Wow. This is awesome. Now, I know back then, for most people who don't know how the recording business back then wasn't Pro Tool.
No.
How many takes did you do with that song, particular song?
One
shot.
One take.
In comparing then till now, these guys have it so easy.
Yeah, but now you have to look back at when I recorded songs like Mr. Fix-It. There were 4 tracks. 4 tracks on the tape. So the music would be on 2 tracks. The voice would be on one, and the backing vocals on the other. And this was like in 65 to say 1970.
Mm-hmm.
After 74, it moved up to 8 tracks.
Oh,
And
yes,
then
yes.
by 75, it was like you could go to 24 tracks. But even then, 24 tracks, if you recorded strings onto a song, like on California Dreaming, we've got strings. So they had to, to bounce tracks to put strings on it. But today, it's unlimited tracks. You can do an orchestra with 60 pieces, and each individual instrument is on a separate track.
Separate tracks.
So what you can do is limitless. In our time, you could only use up to 10 tracks.
Mm-hmm.
But if you listen to the music that was recorded then and the music that is recorded now, there's no difference.
Even though you have the digital that comes in, but it's still
But even now, if you listen to if you play something on vinyl and you play the same thing on CD, if you compare the two, the vinyl sounds warmer. The music is much. It wraps you around more.
Yes, the vinyl. The vinyl, of course.
The digital, it's like a chisel hammering away at you, and it eats away at your brain.
Yeah.
But the vinyl is much warmer and better.
Now you also did backup vocals for guys out there.
Oh, a lot.
I was so fortunate to meet one of the living melodians, and in the Ed Robinson studio in Brooklyn, and it was really good. Still have that photograph with me and him shaking. I forgot his name. Very tall guy, very tall.
Right.
Now, how was that? Especially with the melodians, you doing the backup, vocals.
Oh, it was
just really fun.
It was just another day. It was nothing. You see, at that time, it was so different from now. Mm-hmm. I do concerts. I do a lot of gigs, and you get to the gig, and you're shown a cabin or a dressing room with your name on it. For instance, I'll show you this.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
No, take your time. Take your time.
I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, Mr. Francis' dressing room, and that's
right.
the secret. What's that? The secret garden party.
Right. Now you go to a show, and when you go, you're given the dressing room, and everybody sees on the door that this is your dressing room, so no one is allowed to enter unless invited. Now in our day, everybody was in one room. We just sang together, we chatted together, we ate together, and everybody was friends.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm ready to go on stage, and I said, "Where's my jacket?" And oh no, man, I didn't bring a jacket. But every guy in the room would say, "Here's my jacket."
There you go.
Or my shoes, or my socks, or a belt, or something. We were all helping each other.
Yes.
So it was so good them times. So if I got to the studio and a guy was recording and he needed some backing vocals, you'll say, "Help me out, Winston." And I just get in there, do my thing. And I wasn't asking to be paid.
Mm-hmm.
Because
just to help out. Just to help out. That's how you look at it.
We just helped each other. Today it's different. If you're in a studio and you cough, they got to pay you for it.
Oh, yeah? Everything. Yeah. You just do a simple intro. Hey.
Everybody needs money now.
Everybody needs something. It's like...
But in my time, it was just friends, family. Mm-hmm. Everybody did everything for everybody. If I was driving, and when I left the studio, there were sometimes 2-3 o'clock in the morning. There was no buses, and if I was driving and there was 10 guys in the studio, I had to take 10 guys home.
Got to take them home, yeah.
I got to make sure, and I couldn't ask them for gas. because it was my duty. Because any one of the guys who had, if they had a car, they do the same
They
thing.
do the same thing.
You know, that was the way we lived. We lived as friends. But today, you know, all the artists, they seem to be, you know, everybody is jealous of the other one.
Yes.
And this one is saying this guy
who makes a better song. Yeah, and things like that. It's like a cutthroat. It's a dog world now. That's what it is. A dog world now.
In my time, man, we were all friends. We were all buddies. You know, we just made sure we look after each other.
What past accomplishment gave you a special inspiration and satisfaction now?
Well, if talking about satisfaction, I think my satisfaction came away from my music. You know, my satisfaction was when I was working with kids and helping kids, and to see them today as big businessmen, you know, guys who have got, you know, big businesses, you know, a lot of money, you know, and when I see them, they say, "Oh, Mr. Francis, you know, I got a bottle of champagne for you." You know?
So within that time, you took a break from the music, and you know, working with the kids. And at any given time, you were still writing songs.
Oh yeah, you never get out of that. You never get out. Once you're involved with music, you know, you can never, it will never leave you. You hear a song and you think, you know, if that was me writing that, I would have gone that way. So let me see if I can do this. And you know, you're always inspired by something, and because you know you can do it, you'll always keep doing it. So you never stop. I mean, you know, look at me now. I'm still recording. I was in the studio 2 days ago.
Yeah, somebody just dropped this in the room, say, that man right there, Mr. Francis, is a true gentleman in every sense of the word. Wow. That's powerful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's powerful. Now, also, yeah, go ahead. Elaborate.
Well, I'm just saying that I try my best to live my life as the Bible would say, you know, love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Yes.
And I think if you want to have a really good life, you know, and not you also have to remember your children, you know. So I'm not living my life just for myself. I live my life for my kids, because, you know, my kids are out there on the street. If somebody sees them, they'll say, "Oh, that's Winston's son. Take care of him."
How many kids we talking here?
I've got 3.
The Mr. Francis only had 3. The Mr. Francis? The Mr. Fix-It?
Yep.
Okay.
I've got one who is deceased.
Okay, sorry to hear that.
That's all right. He passed a long time ago. But when you like I said, you know, you have to live your life not for just yourself, but you have to live your life for your children, you know. And when you do good, I remember my mom saying to me once, she said, "You know that old story that if you cast your bread upon the waters, you know, later on, you know," and she said, "It's a lie." I said, "What?" She said, "That's a lie." She said, "If you cast your bread upon the waters, you don't have to wait for 50 years. She said, you'll get it back right away." So do good now. Don't do good to wait until you collect something later. Do good now, and you'll get it back right away. I got it.
Beautiful.
So, you know, I figured she was right. So I tried to do good, you know, right now. And I expect, you know, that whatever I do, I will enjoy, you know, the goodness from that. And that's why I'm always, you know, if anyone called on me for help, I will be there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Fix-It, and this was done on the Studio One.
Okay.
Ladies, I want you guys to hear this song that give him that name, Mr. Fix-It. Beautiful. Right. Listen to this, man. boy has found a girl and ran away. Just to reach for the phone, I'll be there at home. Driving the six, and I'll be there. If your heart's been shattered, the pieces have scattered all across the ground of loneliness. Just to reach for the phone, I'll be there at home. Driving the six, I'll be there. Love is not a bed of roses. Life's not a easy game to see. If you've been mistreated by your lover, don't worry, come and see me. Oh, your heart's been shattered, the pieces have scattered all across the ground of loneliness. Just to reach for the phone, I'll be there at home. My name is Six, I'll be there.
Definitely. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you so much.
So I'm definitely keeping, because I have your WhatsApp number. So if I have a problem, I will call you to fix.
Don't you worry, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. Definitely be there.
Definitely. Now, moving up in the music, you're still current, still working, still touring.
Yep.
Still touring. Now, coming up in the business or been in the business, or I should say, when you're coming up in the business, have you ever given, like this one particular person who's, apart from Bob Marley, that heard you and give you a lecture saying, follow this track here, follow this trend, you will make it.
Yeah, I've got a guitarist that I've worked with for years, called John Kapai, and he's very inspirational. And I remember he played with the Dennis Bovell dub band, and Dennis Bovell is a great producer, a great engineer, singer,
That's a big name
guitarist,
right there too, yeah.
and he's everything. And I remember, them sitting down with me and telling me, the music is changing or that is changing, so you need to start doing this and, taking a different approach, to the music. And I followed them, and they were right. So John Kapai and Dennis Bovell, I think, did quite a bit for me.
Okay, the inspiration. Now, one more thing that I really wanted to talk to you about, and it just slipped me, just really slipped me. Yes, you did a rendition, a cover version by Benny King.
Oh,
and, yeah, beautiful.
Well,
now,
actually,
go ahead, tell them the story, because I love it.
Actually, the guy I was just talking about, Dennis Bovell, was the guy who actually called me at home and told me that he asked me if I wanted a job. And I said, sure. And he said, well, I got 2 songs for you to sing. If you can meet me at the studio right now. And it would take me about an hour from my house to the studio. Okay. And I got there and clickety-click, I was there. And I recorded the 2 songs. And one of the songs was Stand By Me. And the other one was Chain Gang.
Yes.
And I recorded the songs. And when I was finished, I was being paid £300 per track, or I could take a contract, sign a contract to get royalties. It was one or the other.
I know you go for the royalty.
Well, I was broke at the time.
Oh my God.
I was broke. So I was thinking, I've got £600 to take home, which is a lot of money. But when I got to the studio, Dennis said to me, don't take the money, take the royalties.
Okay.
But you have to remember, you're talking to a hungry man and you put a plate of food in front of him. You know, what do you do? Do you stay hungry or you eat?
Wow. And can you imagine if you took the royalty now?
But
those are big hits.
I thought to myself, you know, he's my friend, and he told me,
steer it wrong.
You know, he gave me the job. So if he says to me, don't take the money, take the contract, what do you do? I said, okay, he's my friend. I'm going to take the contract. So I said to, when I was finished working, the songs took me about 7 minutes to do both songs.
Hold on there. Stick a pin where you at.
Right.
Now, okay, the whole lyrics of the song. Did you? How did he come up with the lyrics of the song? Because
there were cover versions. There were two.
Yeah, I know there were cover version, but
yeah,
they just called it to the studio.
I knew the songs. I knew the songs.
You did know the song.
Because Benny King, you know, the Drifters was songs that I grew up with, and I used to sing the Drifters songs all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
So the song "Stand By Me," I sang it 100 times or more.
Okay.
So when he said to me, the song that you're going to be singing is "Stand By Me," I knew it. And then he said the second one is Chain Gang. I knew it. So both songs took me about 7 minutes to record. So when I was finished, the guy, the executive producer, he was a French guy, and he said to me, I'm so happy. I'm so glad. He says, now I've got two options. He says, do you want to be paid or do you want the contract? I said, I'll have the contract. And he said, okay. And 3 different bits of paper. Mm-hmm. And I signed them and shook his hand. And then he said to me, Winston, for you, I have a drink. He's giving me some money to buy
a drink. But it was something else to, a little bit more than you expected, right?
Well, it was, I was glad that he said, I'm giving you a drink, because at least I knew I had a train fare home.
Yes.
But when he handed it to me, and I said, thank you very much. And I went into the studio and I started counting out the money. It was £600. So I got the contract and I got the money.
And you got the money. Wow.
Right. So if I had said I just wanted the money, he would have given the money alone.
The money, and you still no contract.
Right. Wow. But I took the contract, and after I signed it, he gave me a drink, and that drink was £600. So I went inside and I said to my friend, Dennis Bovell, I said, oh, Dennis, let me give you some money. Here's £200. And he says, you took the money. And I said, no, I got a contract. And he said, so how you get the money? I said, he gave me both.
Very good.
He said, don't worry, I got enough.
But it's really strange how the song is not yours, but you did a cover version, but you still get royalty from all of it. How
because you're singing, because it's the performance. Mm-hmm. Because there's a company in England called the PRS, which is the Performing Rights Society. So you get paid to perform. To perform the song. Right.
Okay.
And that's what I did. I performed the song, but the writer gets his payment from the publisher.
He also gets okay.
Yeah, but he gets paid from the publisher of the song. Oh, because the song is published. You see, like I said, there's a lot of politics.
Yeah, I didn't even know something like that existed. Because I know guys do a cover version, and you do a cover, original person credit to it, and that's it.
Yeah, but the writer of the song gets paid they get their royalties from the publishers
Mm-hmm.
who publishes the song. But the guy who sings it, does the cover, he gets the performance of it. And from the performance, I collected quite a bit of royalties because the first month the song was released, it sold over 90,000 copies.
90,000 copies, yeah.
Right. So
And you get hooked up with Sly and Dunbar.
Yeah. Sly came. Yeah, Sly came over along with Robbie.
Yes.
Because they're guys I've known from
Okay.
when we were growing up.
So they were pretty familiarized with you.
Yeah. So when Dennis told Sly that it was me who wanted to do the record, he said, "Yeah, I'll come and do it."
Oh,
because at that time when I recorded "Stand by Me," Sly and Robbie were the biggest thing coming out of Jamaica.
Of course.
So when he called them and asked them, they said, "We're busy," and Robbie said, "Who you recording?" And he said, "Winston Francis." I said, "Oh,
let's go.
We'll come." So they came over and they did the recording, and it was fantastic. We had a great time because I hadn't seen Sly for about 5 or 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great to hook up with the guys, and we had a great time.
Just sit down, ladies and gentlemen. This song now. It's this song. Yeah. Look at this.
Well, this song is called "Come In,"
mm-hmm.
and it was a collaboration between John Capai, the guy I spoke about before, the guitarist, Dennis Bovell, that I just spoke about, and myself. And this was written as a commercial for a publishing company. But about a couple of months after I recorded it, it came out. There's a television series in England called Murder in Paradise, and they used that
being a soundtrack.
Yeah.
Wow. So we talking money coming from this end.
Right.
Beautiful.
So
yes.
Here was the sun shining, for people wine and dining. This is my world, step inside. Music is cool and easy. You've got to dance, believe me. This is my world, step inside. Come in, come in. Come in, come in. Tropical breezes blowing, positive vibes are flowing. This is my world, step inside. There was no need to hurry. This is my smile, don't worry. This is my world, step inside. Come in, come in, come in, come in. Come to my paradise. Everything's going nice. This is Everything's twice as nice. Everything's waiting for you. All of the dreams can come true. This is my world. Step inside.
And I gotta touch this song.
You came into my life and I was happy.
Yes, Tracy. Tracy, I see you. You know it, Tracy. You know it. Guys, share the page. Share the page, guys. Share the page.
How I need you. How I need you. You are my everything. You turn my darkness into light. I will thank you. I will your name was hard. I will rise high in my way. I will thank you. I remember I was drifting wherever the current flows. Then you found me and you showed me the reason for life. And you always
Oh my God. No wonder you, Mr. Fix It. These like something else, you know. I'm loving the vibes here. Now, there's something that also draw my attention here. 2003, you team up with AJ Franklin, right?
Right.
And did an album. Was it a solo track from an album or an album?
No, it was an album. It was an album called Stand Firm.
Stand Firm, right.
Right. We're actually in the studios doing some backing vocals.
Mm.
And while we were standing in the studios doing the backing vocals, the band played a song, and it caught my ear right away. And I said, "Wow,
Right.
I like this." So Frank and I started writing, just start singing some lyrics.
Okay.
And by the time they were ready to record, the producer said, "What were you singing a while ago?" So we said, "Oh, we were just singing some lyrics we were playing." And he said, "I like that." So he said, "Why don't you record that what you were singing?"
Yes.
So we recorded it. We wrote the song, and right away in the studio, and then we sang it. And he says, "Wow, this is great." So he says, "I'm going to use this." So after we recorded 4 more tracks, I said to the producer, "Wow," I said, "I like what you're doing, man. Music is beautiful,
Yes.
really rich." And I said, "Could I commission you to do some music for me?" And he said, "Yeah, but I'm very expensive." And I said, "It's okay."
Yeah.
So we did.
Work the gamble.
Yeah. So he wrote 4 songs. And we did the lyrics to the songs, to the music. And after we did the first 4, it sounded great to me. And then he called me and said, "I got 6 more." And I says, "Hey, take it easy. I'm going to need a mortgage, man." And he says, "Don't worry about it." So we recorded the tracks. But the producer was someone who we knew that when he came on the scene as a young man, we took care of him and we showed him the ropes. So we hadn't seen him for about 20 years. By this time, he was doing some really big productions, and he was working, making TV and radio commercials.
Wow, beautiful.
So it was a great meeting up, and when he finished the tracks, we recorded, did all the voices, all the back and vocals, everything, and I'm saying to myself, boy, I got to go get a mortgage, to pay off to pay him for all the tracks that he did.
Yeah, because it's expensive.
And when we were finished, we had the studios to stay, but we did the last of it, and he mixed everything, and he says, "Here you go, guys. It's a present for you. It's my way of saying thank you for all you did for me when I was growing up." So he gave us the album. Yep. And the looking at the monetary value.
Wow.
The monetary value on that album, I would say it ran roughly to about $90,000.
Wow.
And he gave it to us as a gift.
Now, it's I'm lost for words because you are always a step of your own self and don't realize it. You realize that, right?
Yeah, well,
you're always a step of your own self.
Well, like I say, in life, it's like my mama said,
good.
When you cast your bread upon the waters,
it will,
it will come back right away.
Right there.
And here is someone we knew as a young kid who just broke into the music, and we showed him, the way,
the ropes. Yeah. That you
and
were never being taught when you were coming into business, you see?
Right. But when we met up again after about 20 years, he was a rich man. He was doing a lot of radio and TV commercials. And most of his work he was doing it at the famous Abbey Road recording studios in London. And he was making a lot of money. He was rich. So to him, giving us, that was, not a big deal for him. But he's such a nice guy. We're still great friends today. I was at his house not too long ago. And, he's really, he's fabulously rich.
Don't hurt God. Now, another thing here. The Stand Firm was released a year after, which was, 2004, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, have you ever go out to do a show? They approached you and said...
Yeah, we did a couple of shows. We did a few shows as Francis and Franklin.
Okay.
But the record, there was a lot of politics with the album because the guy who was the guy who said he was going to be our manager and who was going to release the album. He said we shouldn't give it to a company to release it. We should do it ourselves.
Okay.
Mistake number one. And he told us that we should form our own label. And he came up with the name Definite Records.
Definite.
Right? So we said, okay, good name. So we said, draw up the papers for the company. He drew up the papers for the company, but it only had one director on it, and that was his name.
Oh.
And I said, hang on a minute. I said, it's three of us.
Something ain't right.
Only one name. And he said, don't worry, I'll add them on later. I said, no, you're going to add them on now.
There you go.
So he kept on taking us in circles, and I said, you know what?
Forget it.
I'm out of here. So we had pressed 500 albums, CDs, and he handed it to a German company. By that time, he took a job with a French lawyer who was trying to get money from the French government for reggae artists, and he figured he would be better off working with a French lawyer more than working with us on our record. So he dropped our record, gave it to these guys, and the guys just sold it, and they were making copies of it like no tomorrow, and it was selling all over the place. So it became I'd say an underground hit. And because everywhere I went, people were telling me about Stand Firm, you know, and it's a brilliant record. One of the greatest.
But it wasn't really in the mainstream.
No,
just
no,
basically
it was not.
underground.
It was not. And one of the greatest music writers in England, a guy called John Peel, you know, he wrote in this magazine, and he said it on radio, that the best record he heard for 2005 was Stand Firm. He said, it's the best record I've heard since Bob Marley's Catch a Fire.
Now, you could go back and re-record it.
Yeah, but
set it up.
a lot of people have been asking about...
And add in additional vocals and whatever, and turn it out.
Yeah, but a lot of people were asking for it to be put on vinyl. So I put it on vinyl, and it's now available on vinyl.
Oh, okay.
It's now available on vinyl. And it's the same album with the same works. I'll let you have a look at the album. 1 minute. That's the album.
Hey, Stand Firm. Beautiful.
And that's the back. And that's the inner sleeve.
Whoa. Wherein you hardly see an inner sleeve like that anymore.
Right.
Wow. Collector's item right there.
So, you know, it's really a beautiful masterpiece.
Collector's item right there.
You know, it's really fabulous.
Now, my thing to you, doing a show, have somebody come up to you and said, Mr. Francis, I want you to perform a particular track. And you did this track in God knows when. You know, have you ever, they tell you to perform a song and you don't remember that particular song? And you've done it so long?
Yeah.
How you work around it?
It's the brain. I guess the brain has got some maybe some automatic trip that you will not hear a song for 20 years. And the minute it comes up to you, it all comes back into shape, and away you go. You don't actually sing it. You just open your mouth and the lyrics come out.
The lyrics come out.
And that's the way it is. It's on automatic. It's like when you learn something, like the computer. I mean, I've seen you do things tonight that, and you explain things to me, and you run it by me, and I do it, and it happens. If I should do it by myself, I could never get it. But because you are so well trained and so versed with it that it just comes out onto your fingertips. Yeah. So you just do it. So it's the same thing with music or singing. It just comes out because it's a part of your DNA.
Okay. Now, since the music has changed, and as you listen around, the whole aspect of music is, what if we want to say it's for good, or what if we want to say for bad, or going to this direction, that direction. Have you, Mr. Winston, changed your music in some form or way to go along with what's going on right now?
Yeah. Many times I've changed.
And how much of that change we're talking?
Well, you hear something, on the radio or on TV, and you think, yeah, that's nice. I should write a song like that. Okay. And you write a song like that, and you follow the movement. Sometimes you create something different.
Okay.
Because I remember I was in Germany, and I used to have a friend called Arthur, and he was very successful. Drove a nice car, had a beautiful home, had a wife and a couple of kids, and he was doing great. And I didn't see him for a few years. And one night I went to a party, and I saw someone who knew him. And I said, what happened to Arthur? And he said, oh, he's gone, man. You know, he started taking drugs. And he said he lost his family, lost his job,
Lost everything.
you know, lost everything because he's taking drugs. And I said, what? So I was doing a show in Germany, and I got a call from this friend of mine. He said, I found Arthur, man, but he's in a bad way. And he said, we're trying to put a program together for him. We want to pool some money together. All his friends is going to put, you know, some money together and do this every week so we can get him a place to live.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we can send him to rehab,
Mm-hmm.
which we did. And about 6, maybe 8 months later, again, I think I was in Italy working, and I got a phone call from Arthur.
Mm.
And he said, how you doing, Winston? And I said, man, I'm doing great. I said, so glad to hear you, man. He said, look, man, I killed the devil last night. And
Whoa,
I said,
nice.
You did what?
Mm-hmm.
He said, I killed the devil.
You kicked it.
Yep. And I said, you're kidding. He says, no. He says,
He's ready.
I'm back, man.
He's ready.
And, you know, within a very short while, he was working. He got himself a good job.
Mm-hmm.
He was back with his family,
Mm.
you know. So I wrote a song called I Killed the Devil Last Night. And believe it or not, that has become one of my biggest records.
One of your biggest records.
In Europe. And the reason for that is because, you know, I actually went with the trend, you know, because a lot of people were writing, you know, things about experiences. So I just wrote
Mm-hmm.
a song about, you know, experience. And it became, you know, a really big hit for me. You know, so the question was, would I change,
Yes.
I change, you know, my direction? Yes, I have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it has paid off many times, you know, because you like everything else, if you look at the shapes of cars, you know, say 30 years ago, if you look at it all the way coming up every couple of years, the shape changes,
yeah.
you know. But most of the cars, they all have similar, you know, shapes and sizes through the years, because each one, you know, takes a little bit from the other.
Yes.
And you make your own.
Yeah. Guys, share the room, share the page. Tracy, I got you. Yes. Continue.
Yeah. So we just, you know, it's you gotta, you know, create your own, but at the same time, you might be just taking, you know, a leaf from somebody else's, you know, and it works. It does work. It's great.
From the beginning.
Now I want to get to that song.
That's the one.
Yes. Well, three of you guys on that, right?
Pardon?
Three of you guys on that, right? How many persons on this track?
One.
Two? Oh, really?
No, just one. It's myself.
I killed the devil last night. I killed him when I was nice. I killed the devil last night because he wanted to take my life. He totally influenced me because he knew I was drug free. Then he gave me sweet cocaine. He almost took away my brain. Then he made me into his slave. Wanted to send me to an early grave. But I knew my destiny, and I knew I had to break free. I killed the devil last night. I killed him with a wood knife. I killed the devil last night because he wanted to take my life. Joe, Joe, oh, oh, Joe, Joe, oh, oh. But last night I saw the light. Then we got into a fight. He was quick, but I was fast. So thank God I'm free at last. I killed the devil last night. I killed him with a wood knife. I killed the devil last night because he wanted to take my life. Joe, Joe, oh, oh, Joe, Joe, oh, oh. He totally influenced me because he knew I was drug free. Then he gave me sweet cocaine. He almost took away my brain. Then he made me into his slave. Wanted to send me to an early grave. But I knew my destiny, and I knew I had to break free. I killed the devil last night. I killed him with a wood knife. I killed the devil last night because he wanted to take my life. Joe, Joe, oh, oh, Joe, Joe, oh, oh.
Wicked. I got about 10 minutes to go. I could talk to you like, for tomorrow morning, and you'll see the time fly. Mr. Francis, everything about you is so much, inspirational. So much that a person could look at you and grasp and
Thank
learn.
you.
You know what I'm saying? And, it was so funny speaking to Claire, and she was like, Triple, gotta talk to Mr. Frank. He's such a nice man. He is so much of a friend to me. And I was like, really? And I went and I looked you up. And she's like, you gotta go to YouTube, look him up. And I looked him up on YouTube, and I said,
She's fantastic.
Yeah,
Claire is so good. Claire is so good.
when can I get him? And she's like, okay, I'm gonna work on it tomorrow morning. Start working. And thanks be to Claire, I gotta give her so much. And she's such a good friend of mine also.
She's fantastic. She's fantastic.
Is the best. And to make this possible with me in your presence, which I'm being honored to, and with your legacy, the most important thing. Legacy. Now, my question to you, how would you like to be remembered?
Well, I'd like to be remembered as the guy down the street.
Guy down the street.
The guy across the street. The neighbor.
The ordinary guy.
Yeah, just ordinary.
The Mr.
Guy.
Easy. The Mr. Fix-It.
Like
cool, calm, and collected guy.
Well, like I remember the first time I spoke to Claire, and after that, I've never met Claire personally.
Mm-hmm.
We just talk online, or we call each other, and to me she is a great friend.
Yes,
right now.
Yes.
So when I do meet her, it won't be hi.
It's like you know her, but no, you find her.
Yeah. Because to me she's just a real beautiful person, and I don't have to see her to know that she's a beautiful person, because here you are saying thanks to Claire, And I know there's not just me or just you. There's a lot more people who knows her and will say she's a wonderful person.
Yes.
So that's the way I want to be remembered. That I want my kids, to have my legacy. That people will see them on the street. If they need help, someone will be there to say, your father was a good guy, so let me help you. And I think that's the best thing that someone can ask for.
Now, in closing, with all these genres that's out there, is there a genre out there, or that you wouldn't want to merge your music with, or do together?
Well, I've heard a lot of artists say that they don't like dancehall music,
Mm-hmm.
but I love dancehall. It's not the music; it's the lyrics.
It's the lyrics.
I love dancehall. I love all kinds of music. I listen to classical music.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to Latin American music. I listen to jazz. I listen to soca. I listen to everything. Because music is music.
It's music, and music is love. That's why sometimes it kills me when a person say, I don't listen to this. I don't like that type of music. Music is love.
That's it. That's it. And if you look at the Japanese, the Japanese will go into an opera and enjoy it immensely.
Mm-hmm.
And they leave from the opera and go into a reggae jam, and they enjoy it just the same.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing you cannot do to a Japanese is you cannot give them a burnt CD. They don't want it.
No.
And you know the reason why they don't want it? They want to read about the artist.
Oh.
They want to know about you, because when you speak to a Japanese, I've spoken to umpteen Japanese, and they say, when you recorded Mr. Fix-It in 1968? I'm saying,
and you're like, what do you know?
Yeah. They know everything, man. They know everything about you. They know every single thing about you because they read about you. And I don't think there's another nation that reads like the Japanese.
Yeah, and I always tell a lot of reggae artists, also especially people in the music business, saying that, oh, this person want to take over this music, this want to take over that music and stuff like that. And I said, let me tell you something. You know the difference with us? We don't appreciate our own music. We don't appreciate our own music. All right? We were born in the whole reggae atmosphere, so we go along with it. We go along with it. Now you have someone from another country, whatever. Okay, Mr. Winston Francis. Let me go look him up, and they will know what school you went to, who your first song was, this was that, and they study you.
Right.
They study you. Because continue.
Let me. You mentioned something about the music and how diverse it is, because I remember a few years ago I got into an argument in where I live I was in Brixton, and this was when I wasn't really doing music. I was a youth worker then.
Okay.
And this guy was saying, unless you're from Jamaica, you can't play reggae. I said,
that's nonsense. Plain nonsense. Yes.
He said, no, but I said, look, to end the argument, I said, the music that was created in Jamaica called reggae or ska.
It wasn't from Jamaica.
It wasn't all Jamaicans. I said, Lynn Tate didn't come from Jamaica. Mm-hmm. Dennis Sindri was a white guy from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos Malcolm was Panamanian.
Knowledge.
Tommy McCook was Cuban. Roland Alfonso was Cuban. So most of the guys.
Everything different came together.
So they were in Jamaica, but they all weren't from Jamaica, right? They just came together as a family, musical family, and created, a music. But it wasn't just a Jamaican guy. Jamaica, the nationality had nothing to do with it.
Yes.
It's people who loved music.
Thank you for saying that.
And they got involved, and they created something, And believe it or not, we didn't know what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
It was only like 10 years later, because a lot of the songs that were written by Jamaicans, we didn't know that this music would, leave the shores of Jamaica and go to places like the States and England.
Yes.
But look where it is today. It's every single place in the world. I remember I did a concert in Argentina. I've worked it twice. And when I was on stage and I was singing, all the audience was singing with me. And I'm saying to myself, how do they know these songs?
Yeah.
I'm in South America, deep South America. How do these people know these lyrics that I'm singing? Well, they knew everyone.
Everyone.
Because the music has reached so far,
yes,
and has touched everyone.
So
it is one of the most diverse pieces of music there is, and it's reggae. And, it's so enjoyable.
Yes.
And sometimes, when I'm working, and I look in the audience and I see some Japanese looking back at me, some Australians, some Cubans,
so
and everybody is grooving to the same beat.
Everybody's grooving, yes.
I say, man, thank God, we did something that was right, and we did something that was good.
Now, before I close, I have to say something to you with this. You did attribute Michael Jackson.
Oh.
Thank you, Tracy. Talk to me about it.
Well, I'm a reggae singer, as you know.
Yes.
But like I said before, I listen to every kind of music. And there were a few artists that have gone past. And I listen to them. I love them. Guys like Sammy Davis Jr., Isaac Hayes, a lot of these people, James Brown, I love them. But when I remember when Michael Jackson died, I sat down and it broke my heart and I cried, because to me, we lost one of the greatest entertainers, in maybe 5-6 generations.
Yes.
So
true.
And I was really hurt, and I sat down, and I thought, well, I remember I woke up in the middle of the night singing a song, and I wrote down some lyrics, and the next morning I got up and I wrote the rest of the lyrics. And while I was writing it, I was in tears, because I like the song said, I said, I'll never forget the day I heard the news, when about the king of rock and roll, about the king of pop, the king of rhythm and blues. I'll never forget the day the newscaster said the king of pop had just passed away. And it really broke my heart. So I wrote the song, and I put it away, and I sang it to my wife, and she loved it. I sang it to a couple of friends, and they liked it. So I thought,
okay,
I'll record it. So I recorded it, and I didn't actually do it as a record, so to speak. I just did it as a tribute,
okay,
to one of the greatest entertainers of our time. That's what I did. I just wrote and recorded a song that I'd like people to enjoy. I didn't really record it for financial gains. I just recorded it, and I put it on my Facebook page, and it started getting a lot of attention. Quite a few people wrote back and said, Winston, it's a beautiful song. Thanks very much for sharing it. So I didn't actually put it, on Spotify or anything like that. Like I said, for financial gain. I just want people to hear it and enjoy it. And I was thinking, if there should be any financial gain from it, I would like Michael's estate to have it, even though I know he's very rich, but, I think,
you acknowledging all that you have done. Yes.
Yeah, this is one of the greatest entertainers the world has ever seen. So if I could do something in my own way, I'd really, really be glad to do it.
And how do you stay afloat? You are so busy. You used to do radio, also.
Right? Yeah.
You used to do radio also. You're so busy, like the president of the United States here. Still is.
Well, you have to make yourself, busy. Because like yourself, the reason why you're doing this is you would like people to be happy, and that's the reason why you do this. The same thing with me. On radio, I play music so I can make people happy. I sing because I'm happy, and I want people to be happy. When I meet people on the street, and we talk, they say, you make me very happy, and I said, that's what I do. I try my best to do that, because can you imagine? You're walking down the street, and someone comes up to you and said, because I was listening to you on the radio yesterday, or I heard one of your songs, and it inspired me so much that or I was going to hurt myself, and I heard one of your songs, and it just changed me. I mean, what more can you ask for? For me, this is the greatest gift, and I just feel that, okay, I was put on this earth for a purpose.
Yeah, you're blessed with the talent,
and I just try and do the job that I was given the job to do. That's all I can do.
Now, for a young kid coming out of school, high school, coming out of college, decided, I want to, I'm a good writer. I could write a song, and I want to get into the music business. And they come to you, Mr. Francis. What would you say to this particular young lad?
I'd say to him, the first thing you want to do if you're going to get involved in music is you want to learn the business side of it. And once you learn the business side of it, then you can go into it. Because if you don't know the business side of it, you're going to be burnt. So like you said, you didn't know about publishing and about PRS, with performing rights, So these are the things, if you want to get into music, you have to learn. If you're going to be a mechanic, you have to learn the schematics of the engine.
Yeah, the whole schematics, yes.
Right. So the first thing I'd advise anyone who's coming into the music business is try and learn the business side of it first. Then you get into it, because the rewards are high. The rewards are very high, and not only financial rewards, but I've been lucky enough that I remember I was coming from Spain, and my flight, I was late for my flight, and I ran into the airport, and I was looking around, and a guy says to me, have you missed your flight? And I said, well, I think I don't know, I might miss it. And he said, what's your where are you going? To London? And I said, yes. And he said, let me see your ticket. And he took it, and he says, come with me. And right through security, right through. And while we were going down towards the plane, he said, I enjoyed your show last night.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah. You had the show? He says, yeah, I was on the show last night. And when I got on the plane and I sat down, I thought, wow, whoa. Because I was lucky enough that he was at the show, and he saw me run into the airport. He was an high official working for the airline, so he just took me straight through. So these are some of the perks you get. And it was first class.
Ah, awesome.
So, you know, if you the business, music business, anything in the arts, that you get involved with, there are lots of perks. You know, a lot of good things can happen for you, but also for the best things to happen to you, you have to learn the trade properly. And one of the best things to do, the first things to do, is learn about the way the business goes.
In closing, who do you call your friend? Who is your friend?
Well, I got many, many friends.
Winston
I
Francis.
don't have fans. I haven't got a single fan. I hear people talk about they have a lot of singers or musicians say, "Oh, I've got my fans." I don't have no fans. I have family and friends. I got family and friends. That's what I got. All if you listen to my music and you buy my music, you are contributing to my life to make me live. If I drive a nice car, it's because of you. If I wear some nice clothes, it's because of you. So you're not a fan, you're my friend.
Your friend.
Because they say good friends are better than pocket
money.
That's
yes.
right. So
my grandfather always tell me that.
That's right. So someone who contributes to my living is not my friend. He's my family. You know, he's not my fan. He's my family or my friend.
Mr.
And I've got
Francis.
loads of family all over the world and loads of friends.
All over.
All over the world.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
In your time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you.
To make this. I really enjoyed and I've learned a lot, and I really appreciate that. In closing, I wanted to say something in closing to your fans as we're about to close the show.
Well, all I can, what I always like to say is thank you 100% for being there for me, because without you, there would be no me.
Yeah.
And we can't forget the man above. Without him, there would be nothing. So thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for sharing with me tonight. Thank you for becoming a friend of mine.
Thank you.
Because I do hope our relationship will last forever.
Yeah, we will. You may have to fix something for me sooner or later. So.
Right. And anyone who was listening to our show, I thank them. And I would encourage them to love each other,
yes.
And just let us be, like I said, a family.
One big happy family. That's all.
Right. That's right. So I thank them, because if they don't buy my records, if they don't come to my concerts, I can't pay my light bill.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I live by. I live by music. And people like Claire, how can I thank them?
Yeah.
How can there's no I can thank her enough. Because I remember when I brought that album out on vinyl, Stand Firm, as soon as Claire heard about it, she said, I want to buy a copy. And she bought a copy.
There you go. Yeah.
I know, and I've got loads of guys who, the minute they saw it, they just called me and said, I want a copy to buy.
Yeah.
So they're contributing to my welfare, because I don't have another job. It's only music I know. So when they buy, your records, they help.
And so you're still talented, because we take that music away from you right now. You still could drop it and go back to being a trainer. You could go back on the radio. You have so much knowledge of so much things. Which is good.
Well, it's just the love of the music, the love of people, and like yourself, you experience every day what I'm experiencing, because sometimes you have to go out and see a new record that you want to buy. You might go online, you want to buy a record, and you say to yourself, I need to put some fuel in my car. But you know what? I need this record more.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the same experiences that you
Lunch
went
money. Yeah, the
because
lunch money that you have, you no lunch. Yeah, I get this
right,
record.
right, because the love of the love of the music, you know. And can you imagine if everyone in the world was like you and me and like Claire? You know, what a beautiful world it would be. You know, it would be so beautiful. And I just try to encourage people or just beg people, you know, to let's be good friends, let's be family, you know, and forget about all the mistrust, all the disrespect. Let's just be friends and family. And when I say that not just to one kind of people, because you know, one of the great concerts that I did was in Israel. And you see, when there's a reggae concert in Israel, the Palestinians and the Israeli, everybody is one. And as soon as the concert is finished,
Wow.
you know, so music transcends everything you can, every obstacle you can think of, music will get over it. So, you know, let's just love our music and
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much again. And I have a bone to pick up. A good friend of mine is in the room, COUQUERING, because I was about to call him today to tell him that I'm interviewing you. And when I noticed he's your Facebook friend. And I'm like,
wow.
And he didn't say anything to me. So after the show over, I'll take care of that business.
Okay.
No more, my friend. Thank you very much. And I want to definitely play this song.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes,
thank you for having me.
Very much. You are welcome. Thank you. Whoa. Girl, I don't wanna wake up, 'cause you in my dreams, darling, we're making love. When I open my eyes, and you're here with me, looking more beautiful than a dream could ever be. You go to my head, like sweet, sweet sunrise. Whenever I'm with you, girl, you take control of my heart. You go to my head, nothing else like you, girl. Every way, in every way, you bring more power over me. Girl, you know that you go to my head. Oh, first thing in the morning, last thing at night. All I really need, darling, is you by my side. You give me that look that tells me I'll be right. I get such a rush, 'cause you're a natural. You go to my head, like sweet, sweet sunrise. Whenever I'm with you, you take control of my heart. You go to my head, nothing else like you, girl. And every day, never way, you be for power over me. I love the way you take it over me. It keeps getting better, baby. Better than ever, baby. Girl, you go straight to the heart and soul of me. And I know that you do. Oh, whenever I'm next to you, you go to my head. Thank you guys for lodging in the room. It's been a pleasure. Tracy, thank you for that info. God bless. Thank you very much, Mr. Rizzo.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
You